The Labour Party faces a growing row over who can and who can't vote in the party's leadership contest. It's emerged that hundreds of people who say they've supported Labour in the past are being told by the party that they can't have a vote. One of the four candidates, Andy Burnham, has written to Labour's General Secretary expressing his concerns about potential Tory infiltration on a large scale, with a Conservative MP, Conservative media commentators and Conservative councillors all having been rejected. His letter continues, this suggests the 121,000 registered supporters could include several thousand Tory infiltrators, as well as supporters of other parties seeking to have a vote in the election. While criticism of Labour's vetting process has also come from the comedian Jeremy Hardy. He says he's a Labour supporter but has been blocked from voting. And he told me earlier he believes it's part of an effort by the party hierarchy to limit support for the left-wing frontrunner Jeremy Corbyn.
I think they want to scrap this election if they can. He's going to win. He'll win even if they try and stop all of us who've just paid the £3. He'll probably still win because of the huge support he has within the party. People who've been members for years.
Would you have voted for Jeremy Corbyn if you could?
Yeah, absolutely. And they know that. I've been very public about that. I doubt whether anyone who's publicly supporting Yvette Cooper has been turned down for membership. I doubt whether that's happened to anybody. It's a witch hunt. And it's embarrassing for the party. It's very embarrassing because they've lost all credibility. They're trying to rig an election under a system that they brought in themselves. Whether or not it's a sense that the £3 system is a good system, that's up to them. That's a system they chose, and now they're wishing that they could change the rules of the game during an election, which they're trying to rig, and they're only trying to rig it because Jeremy's winning. My friend Hugo Rifkind, who writes for The Times, has joined Labour to vote for Yvette Cooper specifically because he thinks that's the direction Labour should go in. That's fine, that's his opinion. But he hasn't been excluded, and it hasn't been checked out whether he's consistently voted Labour over the years.
So it's arbitrary.
It's rigging the election to stop Corbyn. That's
rigging the election. No, but you nodded, Andrew Mackinlay, when I said arbitrary. Do you think it's rigging the election?
I think it's arbitrary. The point is, why has Mr. Hardy been excluded? It must be on the say-so or view of some person whose name we do not know, or they've consulted canvass returns which were collected exclusively in relation to Labour maximising their vote at a general or municipal election. It's an abuse of that data if it's held by the Labour
Party. A legal
Party.
Abuse?
I think so. Although the Data Protection Act does provide for political parties to have canvass returns and maintain them, they're not immune from the basic principle that it should be accurate. It should only be used for the purposes that data which it was acquired.
So they're breaking the law?
I think they're on very, very dicey ground, and probably that's why they haven't put anybody to come up and back with us this morning.
But they wouldn't, for instance, be breaking the law if they heard Jeremy or saw Jeremy's tweet about Caroline Lucas and said, oh, well, he obviously voted Green the last time. Why should we have him voting in our election?
Well, there has to be parity of treatment right across the board. If he was excluded, so should other people. And also he's entitled to know on what grounds he has been excluded.
Is he?
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Well, rules of natural justice. And I think that people like Mr. Hardy should make a subject access request under the Data Protection Act saying, I want disclosure of what data you hold about me and from whom it's come. And when was it? When was it?
Going to do that, Jeremy?
I will do that. I mean, I think in a way the Labour Party might be trying to invite a legal challenge so that they can say, let's just scrap the election, which they shouldn't do. But I think they're hoping that there will be.
Far-fetched, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? They're so desperate.
You said it was a mess.
They're so desperate at this point.
I've suggested other people might take that view.
It wouldn't surprise me that they're hoping that someone is going to try and actually bring a court case against the Labour Party, and they can say we're going to have to put the whole thing on hold. So I think that would be a mistake. I'll make a data. What's it called, Andrew?
A subject access request.
I'll do that for definite. I mean, I think this is just it's such a mess. They're trying to stop Corbyn. They'll do anything. And I mean, when you've got Labour MPs like Simon Danczuk saying we will launch a coup from day one, is that the aims and values of the Labour Party, that MPs are supposed to try and subvert the will of the people who voted under the rules?
The Labour Party are sending applications for vetting by MPs and leading councillors, And it really, every MP and councillor has somebody who irritates them. That actually, in my view, disqualifies them from deciding who should be members of the Labour Party.
So do you think Jeremy's right when he says that this is a device, a ruse to scrap the election?
It might be that. I'm not saying it definitely is.
It will fail because the architects of these
Is that the motive?
It could be. It could be. But the point I want to make is that the architect of these daft rules wasn't Jeremy Corbyn. It's all these bright things who were part of the sort of the Blair era, and particularly Ed Miliband. This daft system was handed down by them. Now I say, and I think many others do, it was a silly system, but we are going to ensure that the rules are applied consistently.
But just a kind of quick thought, is it silly or is it calculated? I mean, the point Jeremy's making is that it is calculated to keep Jeremy Corbyn out.
I think that we would not be having this discussion this morning if all the indications were that Kendall or Cooper or Burnham were in the lead.
Well, this morning the Labour Party has come out with a robust defence of its vetting process, as our political correspondent Carol Walker has been telling me.
Those claims from people like Jeremy Hardy, who say that they have been unfairly barred and that the party is trying to rig the election, have been rejected in the strongest terms. I've been speaking to a Labour Party spokesman who said it is absolutely not the case that they are in any way motivated by anyone's desire to vote for any of the particular candidates. They're insisting that they've got a robust system in place. They do have this process of checks and verification. In this case, Jeremy Hardy himself says that he did tweet in support of the Green candidate in Brighton at the election, Caroline Lucas. It may well be that if he's seen to have been actively campaigning for somebody who was standing against a Labour candidate, that the Labour Party panel, which considers cases like this, may well have decided that that was sufficient grounds to bar him from the election. But what is interesting for the party is that until now it has faced a lot of complaints that it is not doing enough to stop infiltration from people, including maybe people from the hard left, including Tories out to create mischief, who want to vote for Jeremy Corbyn. Now Jeremy Corbyn supporters are saying, well, it's doing too much to stop us from voting. But I can also just tell you that in the last few minutes, we have heard that another of the leadership contenders, Andy Burnham, is concerned about this process of infiltration. He is so worried about it that he now wants the Labour Party to call a meeting of all four candidates to discuss the issue.
So what you're saying, based on that potentially, Carol, is that we could see some sort of more detailed look, another investigation into what's happening and whether the process is fair.
Well, the Labour Party has toughened up its process. It has introduced extra checks. It has asked MPs to go through lists to try to spot people who are trying to cast votes who should not be doing so, but they have to convince the Labour Party that they share the aims and values of the Labour Party in order to take part in this contest. But what is clear, I think, now is that there are so many concerns being raised about different aspects of the process at all levels that I think what Andy Burnham is concerned about is making sure that when we do get to the announcement of a new leader on September the 12th, that there are no grounds for questioning the validity of that result, or perhaps even mounting some form of legal challenge. I think none of the four candidates would want this process to be in some way blown off course or undermined by questions about the process. So I think what Andy Burnham wants to do is at this stage try to make sure that everything possible can be done to make sure that the process is as robust as the party keeps telling us it is.